Okay, ready and action. So I made this channel to promote Depop, but today I'm going to be talking about the cons as well as the pros of starting a Depop shop. I wish somebody had told me these when I started, so I really knew the truth of what I was getting into and what really goes on behind the scenes. But lucky for you, I am going to be sharing that with you today. And hopefully after watching this, you'll have a pretty good grasp of whether starting a Depop shop is the right option for you. So should I start with the good news or the bad news? I think I'm going to start with the good. Here are the pros for starting a Depop shop. Got no money? No problem. Potentially a big reason why you want to be starting a Depop shop is to bring in a little bit more money. Perhaps you're at uni or you work full time and you want to bring in an extra bit of cash on the side, or potentially you're broke and you just have this big dream of going into fashion and starting your own business. Well, if you are broke, you're actually in luck with Depop. You don't need to raise funds or take out a big chunk of your savings. You just need some clothes and a phone with a camera. This is the one that I ran my Depop shop on for the first 2 years. As you can see, she was a bit smashed and I still haven't fixed her, but yes, I did run a successful Depop shop from a smashed old iPhone 5. iPhone SE. So you don't need much. You don't need much to get going. Depop don't charge you until you make a sale, so Depop isn't taking your money unless you are making money, and stock is pretty easy to find, cheap and sometimes for free. If you have nothing to invest, I would advise looking through your old clothes and seeing if anything is sellable in your wardrobe, or scavenging from friends and family to try and find some gems that you can sell on. If you don't have any clothes that you can steal from anyone, or you don't have any in your wardrobe, I found that Facebook Marketplace and the site next door are great places to find free bundles of clothes. You can also change your location on these to ultra close, so you can find people selling things that you can walk to, so that's a good shout if you don't have a car. And purchasing things from these sites are great if you work hours that are tricky to like go to jumble sales or car boots in. If you work a lot at the weekends or you work in the day, you can pick these items up whenever you're free, so it's really on your schedule. I once found this quality ski jacket on Nextdoor for free. The woman was just giving it away. Let me go get it. So I'm actually not going to sell this because I think there is perhaps a small chance that in the next 5 years I actually might go skiing, so it'll be one less thing to buy. But if I was to sell it, say I could sell it for £30 minimum, minus Depop and PayPal fees, that's around £26. That's £26 profit from £0. You've done a bit of work to source it, you've done a bit of work to pick it up, model it, list it, but all in all you're getting £26 from a £0 investment. You do that 4 times, that's £100, so that's pretty good. There are nice things out there that you can scavenge for free. A step into self-employment. If you're taking an interest into starting a Depop shop, then you're probably somebody that maybe wants to avoid the 9 to 5 and wants to be their own boss. Perhaps your goal isn't to do Depop forever, but to actually use Depop as a business stepping stone, which will eventually lead to other business endeavours. In the grand scheme of things, running a Depop shop is fairly simple. Your day-to-day tasks are sourcing, shooting, listing, shipping. All of these you can start doing without being particularly good at them or have any experience in them, and more information and tips can be found online easily with no need of a qualification or a degree. I believe Depop is a great place to start as a business owner. You can walk in with zero experience, zero money, and walk out with potentially a pot of money that you can then invest in a new business after a couple of years of creating those funds on Depop. I also think you can gain a lot of valuable experience from running a Depop shop. Through Depop, I've had to teach myself about postage, taxes, wholesale. I didn't even know like vintage wholesale was a thing a couple of years ago. I have such a broader knowledge of how online retail works, and I've kind of discovered this whole new industry of B2B, business to business companies that I just never knew existed before. I found that growing a Depop has really built my confidence as a business owner. There was a point early on where when people would ask me what I did for a living, I would feel almost like uncomfortable saying that I own my own business and I ran a clothes shop, just because I didn't have anything to back myself with, and it just didn't sit right with me. But since then I've paid myself, I've paid my rent, I've grown a business, and I can back myself in a way that I just couldn't at the beginning. Now knowing that I went from being broke to building a machine that has consistently paid me month by month, really gives me that confidence that I can go into a more complex business or a different business and do a good job there as well. Fashion experience. If you see yourself in a career in fashion in the future, or potentially owning your own fashion line one day, Depop is a really good opportunity to start building your brand and creating an audience around your clothes. You can see this path really clearly with some of the bigger Depop shops. If you take Isabella Vrana as a great example of this. She has built her brand from reselling noughties clothing for several years on Depop, and has now been able to venture out into manufacturing and designing her own clothing. And now she has a bit of an empire growing. She's done it in such a short amount of time as a young woman, and I imagine it all started from taking photos of some cool clothes in her bedroom, which is really cool. So there are some reasons why you should start a Depop shop. Here are some reasons why you shouldn't. There's no money in reselling. So you want to make money with Depop? Good, you can. You want to make a lot of money with Depop? It's pretty hard. I'm not sure I realised this when I was getting into Depop. I probably should have done, because it's pretty obvious when you think about it. Reselling one-off items is very limiting. And what I mean by that is the money you make is dependent on how many listings you can add. So you're very dependent on time. So say if you can add 30 new listings a week, and that's as many as you can get done. So the max number you can sell a week is 30, and therefore the max profit you can make is only from the profit of those 30 items. And bear in mind that's maximum, which is probably not going to be the case for you. You're probably not going to be able to sell as many items as you're adding. This would be fine if profits on these items were big, but it's likely that you'll have a few jackets with big profit margins, but most of your items will be with profits between the £10 and £20 mark. It's important to remember that this is Depop. These are like young adults after secondhand clothes. They're not an audience that's willing to spend a lot of money on one item. There are ways around this. You can sell dead stock. You see this a lot. It's because well, you can find really nice dead stock items, but it's also because this means that shop owners can make multiple sales on one listing, so less work is required for money. And you can also avoid this issue by selling designer pieces, but obviously still, you can still only sell 30 designer pieces if you're adding 30 designer pieces per week, so there is still a cap even if your profit margins are bigger. If you compare reselling to any other online shop where you have multiple quantities of one listing, it becomes clear that that is a much better business model. For example, a shop that has 60 listings and you have infinite quantity of each listing, the money that you can make is infinite. It just depends on how many you sell, whereas with Depop, you can only sell as quickly as you can take photos and add more listings. Also, with the first shop, you then have more time to spend on marketing and branding, which will increase your sales further. So as a whole, it is a lot easier to make more money with a shop that doesn't sell one-off pieces. If you are interested in starting an online shop, please note that there is a difference between how much money you can make from selling manufactured pieces and selling reselling clothes. If you get any takeaway from this video, I think this is my biggest point that I want you to take away, is that there's not really, there's a lot of like there's a lot of stereotype that Depop shops are like completely like making ridiculous amounts of money and scamming you out of your money, and they're all loaded and rich and wealthy, and I don't really think it's the case. It's very hard to make a lot of money in reselling, and it's a lot of hard work as well for the money. I think there are exceptions. There are massive Depop shops that are bringing in a lot, but even for them, they're still having to list a lot to balance out the listings sold to new listings available to sell. So yeah, do keep this in mind, that it's not the wealthiest industry to be in. It's maybe a little bit boring. Buy clothes, photograph clothes, list clothes, ship clothes. Buy clothes, photograph clothes, list clothes, ship clothes. Buy clothes, photograph clothes, list clothes, ship clothes. And repeat. It sounds quite fun at first when you get started, but when you're doing, 50 a week, that's 50 clothes to source, 50 items to shoot, 50 things to list, 50 things to ship, potentially. It does get quite repetitive. The clothes are new, which is always fresh. It does keep it fresh, but the tasks are the same week in, week out. I'm not going to pretend selling cute clothes on the internet isn't a lot of fun. It definitely is. I think all Depop sellers would agree that sourcing clothes and having big job lots of clothes arrive at your house and getting to look through them all and organise them is a really exciting part of the job, but it's only less than half of the job. It's like 10% of the job. For all the cute clothes that arrive in, you have to list all of those, and listing can be pretty tedious. And the worst thing is that there's no way around this. Listing is what makes you money. Yeah, you have to list. So sometimes I think the worst part of the job, which for me is the listing, is the most crucial part of the job. Potentially when you get to some sort of level, you can hire someone to do the listings for you, which would be very nice, but at the beginning you're not going to be able to pay someone to do the listings for you. You're going to have to do them week in, week out on your own. You're going to need some space. So what does 1,000 items of clothing look like? It looks like cardboard boxes all over your house. I started my Depop shop in a really small flat in Oxford. It was really pricey for what it was, and I could not afford to move into a bigger place or pay for storage. To say that I filled every crevice of that place with stock is an understatement. The landlord in the end very kindly gave me access to the attic, so I could use that space too. Luckily I'm in a bigger place now. I have a whole room for Rarify, and I have a garage full of stock too. If you're wanting to grow a Depop shop, you're gonna need a lot of space. This also means that running a Depop shop is not very portable. You're gonna want a stable base to keep all your stock in. If you're currently limited on space or you're on the move a lot, then setting up a Depop shop probably isn't the right option for you. To conclude, overall there's definitely as many cons as there are pros to starting a Depop shop. I think Depop is right for you if you have a passion for reselling or an interest in fashion. If you're just looking to go into this for money or easy money, this is definitely not the right option for you. I think from outside, reselling looks like a really easy way to make money, but actually it's a lot of long hours for not that much money. If you enjoy the process, then it won't be too much, well, it'll be hard work, but it won't feel like I guess it is hard work even if you enjoy it. If you enjoy the process, then it won't feel too much like hard work, but if you're only interested in the end result, trust me, there are much more time efficient ways of making more money online. Okay, that is a wrap on this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has helped you think about whether going into Depop is the right option for you. I'm back with the next video soon with some tips for new Depop shop owners, so I will see you then. Actually, I don't even know how to ski, but I just know that when I do go skiing, I won't have to buy a jacket and I will look